You're listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.
Korean companies asked the government to add 2 more chip fabs, then asked where the electricity would come from. Pause. The 2040 power forecast for advanced industry and AI data centers just rose more than fourfold. SK Hynix committed 40 trillion won to buying back and canceling its own shares. And Washington may cut Canadian steel tariffs to half the rate Korean steel pays. It's Friday, August 21st. Let's look at a business story shaping corporate Korea. Korea's Climate and Energy Ministry reopened its long-term power plan because industrial demand outran the previous model. Chip fabs and AI data centers draw power around the clock, which intermittent renewables cannot cover alone. The revision reprices every capital plan that depends on Korean grid capacity. Here's what the numbers show. Peak 2040 demand from advanced industry and AI data centers is now put at 36.2 to 36.5 gigawatts, up 28.5 gigawatts from the earlier 7.7 to 8. Those two sectors would consume 348.5 terawatt-hours of a projected 885.1 terawatt-hour national total, close to 40%. Total peak demand is forecast at 158.4 to 165 gigawatts in 2040, against roughly 95 gigawatts at this year's high. 200 gigawatts of installed solar and wind would deliver about 45 gigawatts to the grid because output efficiency runs near 20% for solar and 30% for wind. Confirmed new nuclear capacity totals 8.75 gigawatts, and most of it arrives after the mid-2030s, while the new fabs start running around 2030. Matter of fact, SK Hynix will repurchase and cancel 40 trillion won of stock within 3 months and return more than half of cumulative free cash flow through 2027. The KOSPI closed at 6,852.58, up 5.89%, with SK Hynix gaining 12.73% and Samsung Electronics 9.49%. Washington is weighing a cut in Canadian steel and aluminum tariffs from 50% to 25%, and Canadian vehicle tariffs from 25% to 15%, while Korean steel stays at 50%. So what does this mean for executives running Korean operations? Earlier, we said companies asked for the fabs before asking about the power. Here's what that actually means for you. Any Korean capacity decision landing before 2035 sits on a supply gap the current plan does not fill. And LNG cogeneration is the only source that can arrive ahead of the new reactors. On trade, a Canada deal would leave Korean steel exporters paying double a direct competitor's rate, which is a sourcing and pricing item for the board, not a policy footnote. Watch the final 12th Basic Plan for Electricity Supply and Demand for how the 26.6 to 26.8 gigawatt increment is allocated. Watch Samsung Electronics for a shareholder return package. The market size is near 150 trillion won, about $107 billion. Watch the U.S.-Canada trade text, deferred 3 days on August 18th for the final steel and auto rates. That's today's AI Prism CEO. This episode was produced with AI assistance based on Seoul Economic Daily reporting and reviewed by a human editor. AI Prism is a Won IFRA award-winning series. We'll be back tomorrow.
You've been listening to AI Prism from Seoul Economic Daily.